You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your wildest dreams. You are welcome, holy welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you are. No more hiding tears, no more covering scars. You are welcome, holy welcome. You are welcome here, just the way you want to be. Bring your deepest hopes and all your
There's something in the air, the dream of life in love, with minds that rest in prayer, sparking joy we're in awe. No matter where your path has been or time will somehow flies, like souls will come home again, true friendship ever thrives. Is this where the magic happens? Can you feel the hearts revealed right now in you and me? The secret is wherever we are. There's something in a smile that can turn a day around. Moments so worthwhile when we find common ground. No matter what the day might bring, right here we can align, knowing that we will be seen as perfect, whole, divine. 'Cause this is where the magic happens. Let's feel all the hearts, from close to me and me to you. The secret is wherever we are. So meet me where the magic happens, feeling all the hearts ignited now in you and me. The secret is wherever. The secret is whenever. The secret is together we are.
Good morning. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, St. George. I am Marina Anderson. I am your host and tech person today. And I am also the Core Council president. And I'm just really happy to welcome you to our service today. And as I'm doing double duty today, I pray for your patience as I switch hats back and forth. So I'd love to share with you our purpose that the leadership group created recently in the last year. Our purpose is to love, teach, guide, and support a spiritual community in creating and living a life they love using science of mind principles and practices. And our vision is a community-focused center, actively living, sharing, and nurturing its members and friends so that all may live their best lives. And our mission, which is how you may notice it as I read the list that some things are not in place yet, but our vision, our mission is to fulfill our mission, and these things that I'm about to read are what we see happening and unfolding before us. CSL is an open, inclusive, and involving spiritual community that supports its purpose and vision through sacred wisdom celebrations already existing, empowering transformative education. We have really begun to present class options for you. We're so excited for that. Youth and young adult programs will unfold as we expand. Dynamic music ministry, we definitely have had that. Our friend Alan has really stepped up to the plate in the last months and done a great job of keeping us going. And our new options, we have guest speakers. We had David Jorgensen last week, and next week it looks like we're going to have Donnie Lee in person. So that's great. And community inreach and outreach. Inreach meaning that we want to support our members within our community, and outreach means we strive to do things to support the greater community, such as our serving dinners at Switchpoint Homeless Shelter. Okay, so today's service team, as I said previously, I am your host and tech today. I'm Marina Anderson. Stephanie Starrett, one of our practitioners, is going to do the invocation for us. Donnie Lee provided us with some videos that we use to fill in when we don't have a live person available. And so I'm so grateful to Donnie Lee and look forward to seeing him in person next week. And then of our treasurer, Charles Smith, is doing our reading today. And of course, our beloved Reverend Joe Kovach is doing our talk today, which shall be grand. I know. Okay, so we will start. So today will feel a little bit different. We're using 2 videos. So we'll start with a video from Donnie Lee. Then we will go into the invocation, followed immediately by the reading, and then we will close that section with a second video before we go into our talk for the day. So it may feel a little bit different, but all is grand. And here we go.
How are you doing?
to remind you of your magnificence, to help you awaken to the wonder that you are. I'm here to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you that you're truly loved. I'm here to remind you of your magnificence, help you awaken to the wonder that you are. I'm here to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you that you're truly loved. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. Oh, how could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. I'm here to show you all the joy you're worthy of. I'm here to remind you that you're truly
Good morning, CSL St. George. We here at Centers for Spiritual Living, we pray in the affirmative. What that means is we pray as if it's already accomplished, it's already done, because we believe that it already is in the one mind of God. And so a treatment is one where we affirm what is, and we consider it done. And so that what you'll notice in the prayer, I will recognize that spirit. I will become one with it. I will say the affirmation. I will send it into the law, which already accomplishes everything. And I will let it go. And so that's what we're going to do. So I invite you to take that beautiful song that Donnie Lee just sang And notice in the swing of the beautiful picture of nature, how everything was already dancing in the wind. It didn't have to look at and say, well, what do I do next? It just happens. And so I invite you to close your eyes or leave them open. It doesn't matter. As we go into prayer. So right here, right now, knowing there is only this one mind, this beautiful, infinite intelligence that dances like the flowers in the spring, like the leaves dancing off the trees in the fall. It already knows exactly what it is before I even ask, and it is already accomplished. And so knowing that this exists, that I believe this with all my heart, I join with it. I know that is the truth. It is the truth for Stephanie Sterrett. And because I know that there is no separation between one flower and another, there is no separation between anything that I see. And so knowing this, I also know it about each and every one of you, for we are all individualized expressions of that one. That makes us brothers and sisters. That makes humanity a whole, not divided. And so I dance with abundance, as this month's theme states. I dance in the wind. I dance in everything I see. I bring laughter and joy to all that I see. In this kindness, in this connection, in this realization, I allow it and I accept it and I live it as that individualized expression. I let it move through me, and it does. And so, because I know this to be the truth, I can release it into the law of being, that personal, that impersonal self that guides me and I am intuitive with. It lets me know what to do, when to say things, and how to react, and how to respond. And all of it is good and very good. And so I release it into that law, knowing it is done. As together we say, and so it is.
Good morning. My name is Charles Smith. As Marina said, I'm also on the core council and a treasurer for our center. And yes, we are all one in unity in that spirit, but we're also individualizations of that spirit. And that's what today's reading is about. Time to get in touch with ourselves. An essay by the Jewish columnist Jonathan Rosenblum. In this essay, he considers individuality or individualization through the lens of the Jewish holy day of Yom Hadin, the Jewish Judgment Day, and the Torah, the biblical books of Moses, the first 5 books of the Bible. He also mentions the Talmud, which is the entire body of Jewish civil and ceremonial law. In this essay, he says, in part, arguably, the full-blown concept of individuality is found for the first time in the autobiography of Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, generally considered the greatest writer in the German language. For only in that work do we find, for the first time, an awareness that had the author been born 25 years earlier or later, or in a different place, he would have been a completely different person. In other words, the totality of the circumstances of his life helped make him the unique individual that he was. But long before Goethe, the concept of individuality, the idea that each person has a quality of character that distinguishes him or her from every other person ever born or who will ever be born is found throughout the Torah. The phrase, from the day that he first became self-aware, appears not infrequently in the Talmud as marking a distinct stage in a person's development, the point at which he no longer views himself as an extension of his parents, but rather as a distinct being with his own thoughts, emotions, and nature. That nature is innate. Thus, the most basic Torah instruction to an educator is educate the youth according to his nature. Nothing deprives a person of a sense of achievement or accomplishment more than the absence of a well-developed sense of self as a unique being. Without that self-awareness, he is just going along with the stream, following the accepted societal path, but not expressing himself. That which we do because someone else taught us to do it, or because it was the done thing, confers no merit. That merit only comes when we make the learning our own, the product of our own exercise of free will. Only one with a well-developed sense of himself as exercising his own free will, and not just going along with the opinion of others, can proclaim God King. One is enough. But that one must be a choosing being. What each of us seeks on Yom Hadin, the Jewish Judgment Day, is an additional year to fulfill our mission. But to even make that request, we must first have some idea of what our mission is, what it is we are trying to achieve. Without that, we have no idea what we are asking, how we are doing, or what we need to do better. Achieving such self-awareness is one of life's central tasks and the most difficult. It cannot be achieved without deep contemplation. Yet contemplation, self-reflection of any type, is increasingly beyond our comprehension. Not only does social media render us prey to the opinions of others, not the urgings of our own souls, but even when it is not polluting our minds, it distracts us from any serious ability to think. And when one gets in the habit of being distracted on a regular basis, that too easily becomes the default mode. Most of us could benefit from a resolve to create time to think seriously about who we are and what makes us unique. No one can discover our individuality for us, for no one has the same access to our inner beings as we do. Let us take time to do so.
Taking my freedom, taking it off the shelf, wearing it in my hair, wearing it on my belt. I'm taking my freedom, putting it in my car, wherever I choose to go. It will take me for a ride. Living my life like it's golden. Yes, living my life like it's golden. 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 I'm living my life. Living my life. Yes, I am. Golden. Golden, golden. I know golden, this to be true. I am living my life like it's golden, 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 golden. Wherever I go, I'm living my life. Living golden, 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 golden. It's golden, 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 oh, golden. I'm living my life like it's whoa, whoa. Can't be held back by limitations. Living my golden, 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 golden. Living my life. It's golden, 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 golden. Feels so good to living my life like living my life like it's golden, 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 golden. Living my life.
All right. Well, that was all fabulous. I love both of those songs by Donnie Lee, and especially the first one. The middle part of it is a ditty that we do in the women's group that I belong to support each other in knowing that we are well loved. So that was totally cool to experience that. So I would like to now bring up Reverend Joe.
Good morning.
Hello, welcome, welcome.
And you're doing a great job double dipping, so thank you. We got children, we got dogs, you're making it happen. It's all good.
So far, so good. Yeah, my great grandson is here, and so
what are you doing? Come on, Grandma.
Yeah, he keeps popping in, so it's working out okay.
Thank
All right.
Thank you.
Take
Good
it
morning,
away.
everyone. We are having fun here, CSL St. George, and it's November. Halloween has come and gone, and we start another month. And let me start out by saying, I hope you caught last week's service. It was our first in-person service. Reverend Rachel Dilling did a fantabulous job. And I want to thank David Jorgensen for supporting our center the way he does and providing music for us. It just continues to show that we have a powerful community, that life is abundant, which is what we're talking about all month long. People, resources, they just keep showing. Why? Because that's how the creative nature works. So we're grateful. Thank you, Reverend Rachel. Thank you, David. And I'm sure that we will be collaborating more. We're definitely going to see Reverend Rachel more every fourth Sunday from now on. So please mark that down. Yes, we're doing 2 in-person services a month. And today's videos from Donnie Lee is just a little precursor, pre-show for when he's with us live next week. So we're definitely going to have a more lively music next week in the sense of something different, something variety, and it gives our beloved Alan a couple weeks off, which he deserves. Again, thank you, Alan, for your constant support in all ways, in your time, your tithe, and your talent. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about abundance. We're talking about how life continues to evolve and fulfill its desires to and through us. And so when we're talking about abundance, I used to constantly go to money and things. And so let me just put it out here. We're talking about everything and every non-thing. We're talking about life itself being abundant. It doesn't lack for anything. Our breath, opportunities, supporting relationships, resources of every kind, laughter, friendships that support us and help us grow. It's all here now. When I talk abundance, that's what I'm talking about, right? We could say, well, there is no lack, and I will say that, but focusing on lack, to me, brings more lack. My mind hears lack. We're not talking about it because there is no lack in essence, because we recognize the creative process that life is. And so as Marina did a wonderful job talking about our missions, that some of those things aren't in place yet, but we know because life is abundant and intelligent and all powerful, that as we continue to call it into being, it must happen. And so maybe the most abundant thing that we have and take for granted is our thoughts. right? Especially the creative ones. I mean, think about it. We are avenues for spirit to fulfill its best ideas and manifest them, right? Think about that for a minute. Give yourself a pat on the shoulder, right? It chose you. It chose me in all our sexiness to come to and through us in all our uniqueness. I don't care what your talent is, life is using it to become more. That is abundance. Now, it's really important to make sure to start out with a foundation that we believe we're worthy. And I think we talk a lot about that, so I'm not going to focus too much on that today anyway. But we must see ourselves as worthy to receive the abundance that already surrounds us, right? And I love the idea of tapping into creativity and seeing it as abundant. It's not just here or there, it's everywhere, right? And it's when we're creative, we find ourselves being most effective and participating in this flow of consciousness with ease, with grace, where time doesn't really exist and everything is always happening to and through its perfection. And the other thing we're going to talk about today is this idea of mindset and creating a mindset of abundance, because a mindset, in essence, helps us focus our intention and gives us more to be grateful for. I said lastly, but there's one more thing, which is maybe most important, and it was mentioned earlier. This idea, and I'm going to say mentioned earlier by our practitioner and spiritual coach, Stephanie, this idea of how we are interconnected, got it, with all of life. And then brilliantly to tie together, Charles recognized we are individualizations. What does that mean? I'm an individual. Well, we're an individual as one, and then in essence, if we're going to get technical, an individual is separate from the others. Whereas we see an individualization as being unique, but still part of the whole. So maybe think of it like an individual puzzle piece. I'm putting this together. It is an individual piece, but it can't exist without the whole. It doesn't make sense. And so we are part of that whole. We are an individualized expression of that whole. I think that made sense. I hope it did. And so interconnectedness. And when we recognize it, and not just with each other, but our interconnectedness with all living things, then we're truly tapping into the abundant, the infinite abundant life and all that it provides on a constant basis. In Taoism, Lao Tzu has a quote where he says, when you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you, because we recognize it's a matter of tuning in. We recognize the beauty that's all around us, and what a precious gift life is, and that life provides every day. And when we're using that creativity and recognizing how we're interconnected with others, then that's where we find the joy and the contentment of a life well lived. So the other part, or way of looking at abundance, is simply recognizing, well, I won't say simple, profoundly, recognizing that which we call God, spirit, universal life, is the one source and supply of everything. Why? Because it is everything. That everything that exists in and around and through and as us is within and of God, spirit, life. So when we recognize that is where the power is, not through us, well, how am I going to create X, Y, or Z? Well, I'm going to do that through the power that is all life. And that power is and comes from source itself, spirit. So life is sweet. Yes, it is. Are you tuned in is what I want to ask you. Because looking at abundance, it's also a frequency. It's a frequency. It's an energy that's already existing. And we choose to either tap into it or not. And even when we tap into it, how much are we tapping into? A while ago, I used the idea of a dimmer switch on a light. That electricity is flowing full force. We can have a little, right? And maybe I'm not feeling very worthy, so I just say, well, this is all I got. But that's not truth with a capital T. You can turn it up, and you can just hop into this stream of abundance and receive and express and experience as much as you want to. Right? So now, how do we do that? How do we get the most out of life? And I don't mean that again, things most out of having and creating a life of love and luxury. That's not an evil word, right? Again, Ernest Holmes says again and again and again that life is here to supply us with all that we may ask of it. So I wanted to share a quick definition of a mindset. It's a series of self-perceptions or beliefs we hold about ourselves and that determine our behavior, our outlook, and our mental attitude. And I added an altitude. How high are we going to go? High meaning frequency. I can have a little or I have a lot. And it's not the idea that more is always better, because in many situations it's not. But as much as you want to experience, that's important to understand. So in Science of Mind, we're constantly talking about how our thoughts and beliefs shape our experiences. And particularly, we're going to focus that on today's idea of abundance. And creating a mindset basically gives focus and dimension to the way that we're thinking. Again, the most abundant thing we have are thoughts and ideas. And then the way things show up in our lives, where we find ourselves, the circumstances, the events, the people around us, that's showing us where the focus truly is. Because again, the mindset, like it has the parts, right? It's the thoughts, it's the feelings, it's the attitude, right? So what's the culmination of that is what comes out of us. What are we co-creating with Source? And again, if we don't like it, we get to tweak it. If, back in the old days when, you weren't always directly on a radio station, right? When you were turning the hand dial, as you got closer, it would be fuzz, fuzz, then you'd get a little sound and more. And so it's kind of like we're doing that to ourselves, or again, going back to the dimmer switch, right? A mindset allows us to exactly determine the amount of prosperity and abundance that we live by, the amount of love that we allow in our life. Okay. And so by maintaining a positive mindset, we're focusing on possibilities. We're focusing on opportunities rather than dwelling in lack and limitation or even scarcity. And again, we have to be careful what we allow in, because if we turn on the news quite a bit, and I'm not saying not to watch the news, but a lot of media is focused on the lack, the limitations, and the scarcity. And I'm going to tell you over and over again, that is not truth. Now, but we are not saying that something is here and now when it doesn't exist. We're recognizing the divine possibility that it is, because we know how it works. As we call it into being, and as we amplify things in a group interconnectedly, it becomes more powerful. It's like the mindset grows. It's more than one individualization, and therefore it's amplified. Now, I want to stress number 2, this is the second time. It's important to see ourselves as worthy of receiving, or in essence, attracting good things in life. And so that comes from our sense of being one with that which we call God, Source. Okay, that's step 2 as we pray affirmatively. First step, we recognize the divine infinite nature, all powerful, all knowing, everywhere present. It is love, it is truth, it is light, it is good with a capital G. And the second step is, and I am one with all that it is. Important. Ernest Holmes says this. He says, It is right that we should be successful, for otherwise, spirit is not expressed. The divine cannot lack for anything, and we should not lack for anything that makes life worthwhile here on earth. Okay. So does that mean take more than we need? Well, if you're going to take it to share it, that's a great idea. If we're taking it because we believe I need much, much more and more because there's this doom and gloom coming, then maybe that's not the best mindset to have. Okay. So if we come from the mindset that there will always be enough to go around to assist it with life's challenges that it comes, we have a healthy sense of optimism and self-sufficiency, then that's what we're going to practice, and that's what we know. Now, that doesn't mean back in the day, the idea of tithing, right? We take 10% and we put it away just in case. That's not lack-mindedness. That's preparing for a possible shortage of the moment. That's okay, right? Or if you live next to a stream, like putting up a wall to protect your belongings, so forth. Okay, that's being proactive. You're not coming from a place of lack. You're protecting what you've earned, and that at the same time you recognize if the river to wash it all away, that you can gain it back again. I want to share a story. It's a shared story. It's not mine. It's from Karen Walround. She wrote a book called The Lightmaker's Manifesto. And it says that she says, several years ago, a friend of mine went through a messy breakup, which had left her devastated. As she was speaking with her therapist, she let her outlook spiral downward. Many of us do that. She says, what if I'm flawed? What if I don't deserve affection or true connection? Exhausted, she finally voiced her deepest fear. Perhaps she would never, ever be truly loved again. She sat and waited for the therapist's response, but the therapist simply smiled gently. You understand, of course, said the therapist, that you have evidence to suggest otherwise. Let me say that again. You understand that you have evidence to suggest otherwise. This answer might be my favorite thing ever. The phrase, you have evidence to suggest otherwise, is way more powerful than the more common, this too shall pass. You have evidence to suggest otherwise. It is a gentle admonition to get out of your head and get into the facts. To be clear, this isn't unchecked Pollyanna-esque smile the pain away talk, she says. Once we've allowed and acknowledged our pain, it's possible to gently shift our outlook toward a more positive mindset by using a concrete, evidence-based way to access joy. So this is a great opportunity, a great experience of, it's so easy to go down that rabbit hole. And we can talk ourselves, literally, of course, into depression. We can talk ourselves and support ourselves that it ain't there, that I'm not worthy. But we each have evidence that suggests otherwise. That is a grounding point of consciousness. So when I say I'm not loved, I may not feel loved, but is that true? Because if I can find one person, one being, I don't care, an animal that loves me, then it's false. If I can say, oh, this isn't happening, okay, then can I find evidence to the contrary that it could happen? It's really kind of a different way of looking at, the can'ts and the cans. Either way, whatever I focus on is going to come true. And pay attention to when we're struggling. Do I know of evidence that supports us otherwise? And what I know, again, is that life is truly sweet. And like our talk title, we're going to let it rise. And how do we let it rise? We acknowledge it. If there's pain in the way, we're going to acknowledge it. Again, the idea of Pollyanna, and many of our younger users may not understand that, but we're not just going to say it's all wonderful and fantastic when it isn't in the moment. And here's a great personal example. of young children who recognize a life abundant and of providing that abundance. So Halloween was the other day, and my daughter wanted to go around the corner to a haunted house, and so we did that. And she was before that giving out candy and had given it all away, but with forgetting, she put the bucket down in the driveway when we went to go to the haunted house. So we come back and we find a whole couple families in our driveway, and they're in the bucket. She said, "I don't think there's any candy left." And so when we walked up there, I was just kind of sharing out loud so the parents were aware, in essence, take whatever's left because I think we're out. And one of the parents said to me, "Oh, no, we know there wasn't any candy, but they're putting their own candy in because they want other children to have some." True story. How beautiful is that? That is life, giving of life to itself. And as much as I said, I did say, thank you so much. That's such a great and nice idea. Well, we're going to close up for the night, so you can take as much as you want. And they refused. They all left a little bit in there. Right? It's a great example for us. Right? They took of what they had enough, and they were willing to give more. Sweet. Absolutely. So let's now switch to talking about this idea of being interconnected. Again, with all living things, with everything, every being, and recognizing that as we embrace this interconnectivity, we're embracing the natural abundance that flows to and through everyone. They're each individualizations of the whole. So there's no one truly lacking of anything. And so as we tap into recognizing that life is happening for us, not against us, then we can allow the abundance of life to come to and through us, through others. Having an abundant or a consciousness of abundance, we end up naturally just being more generous and more sharing. And those children were a perfect example, right? They had a mindset of there's enough and we're going to be part of it. And I'm sure that wasn't directly it, but it made them feel good, right? And when we tap into this idea of giving, it brings us joy. And we recognize that it's going to come back around if we have an abundant mindset. And so people who recognize this, these young kids, they wouldn't know this, but they were participating in what we call the law of circulation or the law of giving and receiving. They received, they were happy that they have, and they were willing to give back. And this is universal law. All of nature does this. Right? And so by sharing our resources, sharing our time, our tithe, our skills, our talents, our abilities with others, we're naturally saying, I have more than enough. I have enough to share. Allow me to introduce that, because that we have to participate in both the giving and the receiving. Again, please, you are worthy. Receive the good that is out there, that is already happening. I spoke those words to one of my students. He's had a rough last 6 months. He's lucky to be alive. And he keeps dwelling on the person he was, which wasn't necessarily the nicest person, but he's coming from a different place now after a car accident. And I finally, maybe absolutely because of this philosophy and maybe because of my training, what I kept hearing in my head is tell him that he's worthy. And so I did that. I just said it the one time. I said, I want you to know you're worthy of everything that you're looking for. And he stopped and he said, thank you. I needed to hear that. So it's important, because if we break ourselves from this worthy, if we dwell in lack and lack of worthiness, then we're it's not a seesaw approach. We're giving, and never replenishing, and then we feel empty, and that's why we feel empty. Allow life to fill us back up. All right. So Deepak Chopra, the great spiritualist, says the universe operates through dynamic exchange. Giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of energy in the universe. And in our willingness to give that which we seek, we keep the abundance of the universe circulating in our lives. So circulation, the law of circulation. An example of this, another story I want to share. This one's from Reverend Scott Aubrey. He says, a friend of mine, Jeff, told me that he wanted to be happier in life. Then he got this idea that if he lived in gratitude, he would be happier. And so basically what he does is he decides that he's going to stop and be grateful every time he found money. So anytime he found loose change in the parking lot, or he puts on new pants and he finds money that he didn't know was there, he would stop and give gratitude, just say thank you and recognize how he's in that flow. And he goes on to say that he says this worked so well that he decided to start leaving money in places for other people to find, dropping change on the sidewalk, paying for someone's meal in a car behind him at a fast food window, for example. And he says, the money he gave away, the more money he gave, the more money he found. And so again, it's a perfect example of how he got in this flow of circulation. His idea, he says, was to be more happier, to be more in the flow of God's abundant life. And he said it's a beautiful teaching of the power of gratitude and giving. So the more we give, the saying is, the more we get to give. All right. So let's switch now to this a little more idea about a mindset and focus on what a mindset of appreciation is. A mindset of abundance, a mindset of gratitude. These are all similar words. Well, I'm going to say a mindset of abundance, and what we tap into it through appreciation and gratitude. And I like the word appreciation a little more. I follow the teachings of Abraham with Esther and Jerry Hicks, and they use appreciation a lot because I found particularly in my upbringing, the word gratitude, which isn't a negative word, but I come from this place of being grateful as if little old me didn't deserve it and you gave it to me anyway. This is for me, and I know there's going to be many people that identify with that definition. And so when we appreciate, what are we doing? When something appreciates in value, it becomes more than. And not only that, but we recognize our place within this co-creative process. So let's fine-tune our mindset of abundance by using appreciation. Just like the story before, he would stop and be grateful. He would appreciate the idea that life was always everything that, there was finances all around him. He could literally find it. And he put himself in that flow and then was able to add, he appreciated, and then he was able to appreciate to others, meaning he was able to give to others out of that. The incredible Wayne Dyer, he says, abundance is a universal principle that many of us do not experience because we misinterpret it. We believe it means having things and striving for more of those things. But abundance really means understanding that our eternity and our universe are endless. What's that mean? Well, so many of us kind of get selfish in individual, not eyes. We become more part of this lack because it's this negative competition. I have to have it now or I'll never have it. And that's recognizing that, yes, at some level, we will move on from this physical body. But our true nature is infinite. It's eternal. We will continue to live on. We will experience joy in other ways, in other times, in other places. And I don't know what that looks like, but I do believe, as he says, in our life being eternal and endless. So going back to this idea of adding in appreciation to our mindset, that means we're regularly stopping, expressing thanks and gratitude for even the most simplest pleasures or the closest relationships we have. And how often is it those closest to us don't necessarily feel our direct love because they're there every day, and we forget to stop and pause and say thank you. Thanks for doing the dishes. Thank you for lending me your coat. Thank you for opening the door. And recognizing again this interconnectedness, this ever flow that is happening to and through and around us. And I'm watching the time, and because the music video took us longer, I'm going to skip a story. Let me see if I can. So what this story I was going to share with you makes a point of summarizing it as often we block our own flow of abundance and receiving because we're looking through it through the eyes of perfectionism. Like, I know what I want, and it's going to come looking like this, A, B, and C. And when it doesn't, we say it's not there, and we get frustrated. We say we're in lack, and we in essence prove ourselves true because we're coming from a place of I knew it couldn't happen anyway. And so what the message of the story simply is to recognize that life is intelligent. God is intelligent. It knows the best way, the perfect timing to deliver what we're looking for and allow it to happen. Okay, I can't tell you how many times as a school counselor, a student would come to me and talk about they were afraid to break up with someone that they no longer liked or were attracted to. And because, you don't know, in essence, if the grass is greener, what might happen and so on. And I would put it in their mind that, you never know. Somebody may love you the way you want to be loved, but you don't know it because you're still with somebody else. And so in essence, by you hanging around this person that you really don't like in that way anymore, you're kind of blocking what you really want. And I can't tell you how many times that exact thing happened. They finally let go of the other person and somebody else was like, oh, hi, my name's Joe. So we're not trying to control how all the time it shows up. We may put our minds in certain ways. That's fine. But at the same time, be open to life's infinite ways of allowing us to experience what we truly want to experience. In other words, if we want more money, but why do we want that money? Oh, I want comfort. I want to be able to have certain experiences that you need money for. Then focus on those experiences and know that that's going to happen and let go of I need money to experience that. Okay. So let source show up in the perfect and highest way to deliver that money. And here's what, maybe you don't need money. I can tell you 100 times I've heard of people receiving things for free, trips in the mail that they didn't sign up for, things like that. Life has us. It's got our back. It's happening for us. All right, last quote of the day, which is from our own Ernest Holmes. He says, in everything, give thanks. An attitude of gratitude is most salutary and bespeaks the realization that we are now in heaven. How we love to do for those who cooperate with and are grateful for our small endeavors. Gratitude is one of the chief graces of human existence and is crowned in heaven with a consciousness of unity. I would suggest to go back over it because I'm looking at our time, but that is a powerful, in essence, that quote talks about all the things that I highlighted. So in conclusion, okay, begin to bolster your mindset of abundance, right? Fine tune it. Jump into a higher level of frequency. Focus on your worthiness, right? Begin to implement positive habits that help you recognize the good that is already happening in your life. And it's not about being perfect. Have fun. It's going to happen for you. Why? Because what you are seeking is seeking you. That I know to be true. Now, today's affirmation is going to be a little something different because it's actually a true affirmation. It's not a one-liner. This is actually a quote from Ernest Holmes. And what I'm going to ask you to do, this challenge came from my wife, Tony. She says she wants for us to challenge to either take a picture of it, and I'm going to ask Marina right now at some point. I'd like to take this and put it in our email newsletter so that our members can have it. And I want you to carry it with you. carry it with you and see and practice it each and every day, multiple times a day. And then next week, come and share with us how your life has changed. So what does it say? It says, today, notice this in all caps, today I recognize the abundance of life. I animate everything in my experience with this idea. I remember only the good. I accept only the good. I expect only the good. This is all I experience. I give thanks that this good is flowing in ever increasing volume. I do not withhold this good from others, but proclaim that spiritual substance is flowing to each and to all as daily supply. Let me just take this into prayer and just recognize that this is truth, that we are living through Spirit's abundant nature right here, right now. And what I know to be true is if there's something that we're not experiencing, that we have the power individually and collectively to co-create it. And that God is happy to give of its good nature over and over and over again to the level that we accept. And what I state is we each feel worthy of this good, of life's bounty. We recognize that we, and as in the Bible says, we are in the kingdom of heaven right now. We recognize that all the great wisdom that has ever been is in this moment right now. And we open to it and we recognize what we have and we are grateful. We appreciate being part of this stream of consciousness, of abundance, of prosperity, of all life, of joy, of laughter, of perfect health, of wealth. There is no end to the good that we can experience. I claim that for each one here and now. I see this abundance flowing into and through our community of CSL St. George. It has shown up in our new staff minister, Reverend Rachel. It shows up through others participating and volunteering. It shows up through the music of David Jorgensen and Alan Stanley and Donnie Lee. It shows up through our brand new center that we can easily afford and offers us the ability to serve in love and joy. And so it is. Amen. Namaste.
And so it is for sure. That was grand. Thank you so much. I really love the way, the powers that be that create all these materials for us, that the way they have written out abundance, because for me, it is a dance, right? It's a dance with spirit, with energies that be, and a dance with each other. So I just particularly love this month's little ditty thing. So
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Reverend Joe. All right. So let us move on to some announcements. Let me make that a little bit bigger for you, I think. So prayer requests are always welcome and expected and wanted. All you have to do is go to our website and click on the About page, and you'll see a picture of each of the practitioners, and you just click on it, and it will help you send an email to them. And they are so happy to support you in whatever you have going on, whether it is to celebrate your abundance or to help you through a moment of challenge. So call on them. They're amazing. They're wonderful, and they're waiting for you. So we are going to have a picnic on November 9th, which is next Saturday from noon to 4 at Pioneer Park. Just go to the newsletter has the directions if you don't know where it is. And we will be at the pavilion, the gazebo, whatever you want to call it. What was the new word I heard? the Bowery. It's also called a Bowery. So we will be there waiting for you, and we're really looking forward to just having a casual gathering with you. And that, of course, is the day before our next in-person service on November 10th. So, and Reverend Joe will be there in person to talk to us and chat with us and interact. And as we said before, Donnie Lee will actually be here in person next week. So that will be super exciting. And don't forget that we have a second in person on November 24th, which will be, the talk will be done by Reverend Rachel, which she did such a fabulous job last week. It was so great. You will love it if you haven't seen her in person yet. Don't miss it. As usual, for after our online services, we do have a Zoom conversation today, which you can get the link on in the newsletter. And don't forget, we are starting a workshop class on Zoom this Tuesday, November 5th, with the book A Complaint-Free World. You won't be sorry if you join us in this endeavor. I've done the bracelet before. Totally changed my life, and I'm looking forward to a deeper expression of that now that I've actually read the book. So all of the details again in the newsletter, and maybe not on the website right now because we are in the middle, kind of a hiatus of having someone to work and get those on the website. So look for your newsletter for now. If you want to join in our Abundant Prosperity as a center, we always appreciate your contributions through Zelle, through PayPal, or by check. Your contributions not only contribute to the workings of the center, but we also quarterly tithe, if you will, to some other nonprofit entity, and you make that possible, and we thank you for that. The next 2 Sundays are both with Reverend Joe. More buns to share and loaves and fishes on the 10th and the 17th. So don't miss any of that fun. So now I'm going to bring back everybody, and we are going to do the closing affirmation. We hope
Rita,
that
can I make a note real quick
Yes,
before we start?
yes.
With regards to class, if you can get up to, we're gonna in the first week we're gonna cover the intro up to chapter 2 and through. So
Okay.
if you
All
can,
right.
and if you can't, just join us. It's a lighthearted. We're gonna have fun.
Yep. And the conversation, whether you've read the book or not, is going to be grand. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so very good. Okay. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life.
Life is in my mind, life is in my body, life is in all that I do.
I am it. I embrace it, and I share it.
Just the way that it is, and just the way that it is becoming. Thank you.
Thank you. Ryan.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being here.
See you on Zoom.
Yes. Have a grand week.
Join us.
Please.